if you have a really good, challenging conversation with somebody around feedback or around attitude or whatever, and it is done well, the impact that that will have on the business and particularly on that relationship within the business and the work you can do together is so great. And yet, for some reason, we have blinders onto that. One, I wonder, why do you think we have those blinders on, and how do we open things up so that we focus more on what we get from having these conversations rather than all the tough feelings we might have in them.
Yeah, and it's really so that's where it comes to not only presenting background, but setting, planning a conversation. And what I mean by that is when you go into a conversation with someone, starting out by just uh, asking simple things. How are they doing? What's going
Mm-hmm.
on in their life? Some general questions that open the door to relationship building and trust, because
Mm.
without trust, you can't have those conversations.
Yeah.
Um, and so you've got to create that relationship and that connection, before you can actually talk about a potential issue that you need to. And
Yeah.
so you ask the question, how do we shift the dynamics of a conversation so that it can be, if you will, a win-win?
Mm-hmm.
And so first is really, creating a safe space to have that discussion
Mm-hmm.
by asking questions that are open, that are, developing, that connection, that relationship. But the other thing that happens once you've done that is to, um, really listen. You want to listen to understand where someone's coming from. So what happens when we get into those conversations, we listen with the intent to respond. So we're
Mm-hmm.
already thinking through like, okay, I know what I'm going to tell him, but I'm just listening so that I can show that I'm listening, if you will.
Right.
Yeah. And so we have to dwell into that. We have to understand, acknowledge that we understand where they are. But then the biggest part of this that leads to what you're asking about, how do we come out on the other end with the win-win, is after you've kind of developed that safe space, is sharing perspective. So
Mm.
you are then asking the other individual to share their perspective on this particular issue, but they
Mm-hmm.
share it first
Yeah.
because you want to get their perception. Everybody has different lens that they look at things, and
Mm.
and the conflict may come because they think they're abiding by those expectations when they're different than what the manager or the leader has, and they haven't actually opened a conversation to discuss that.